Alrighty, Travis Wayne Goodsell. If you're new to this video, there's a lot of context you're missing out on. I've got many videos of which I'm speaking of today that all plays a part. So that's one of the common rookie mistakes that I find with new people who come onto my site and think that they can make a comment not knowing the full context of why I'm speaking what I'm speaking. In verse 15 of Joel chapter 3, the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. That's considered to be the older version of what Jesus talks about in Matthew 24, and also what John refers to in his book of Revelation. And we go back into Joel chapter 2, starting in verse 28. And it shall come to pass that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. And then in 31, the sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. Before being the operative word. We have seen the sun turned into darkness on the United States of America. We have seen the moon turned into blood on several occasions, the 2014 to 2015 tetrad being the key signal of the foreboding of the actual one that occurred on January 31st, 2018. And yet there's still another one on the 21st of January this month. I had a dream this morning, and the number 211 appeared in the dream. And it refers to that day, 21st of January. Now, how do I know it's the 21st of January? You're just making it up, Travis. You don't know what you're talking about. Again, you don't know the context. I have written dream books. Oh, wow, something new for those who have been paying attention to my context. And I've had dreams since the summer. Well, I've had dreams my whole life. Everybody has dreams. Whether you remember them or not, that's a different question. You know, in kindergarten, or not kindergarten, it was when I moved to California, in Placentia. I had a dream that I still remember to this day. There were dinosaurs on the playground there in Sierra Vista Elementary School, and they were roaming around chasing my parents and my siblings. And so I still remember that dream. Old dinosaurs chasing my parents and my siblings. So again, if you don't know the context of my videos and books and website, you're not going to understand why I'm laughing. But the summer of 1986, this was right after President Benson got up an April conference when I was a 16-year-old teenager who just became a teacher in the LDS church. and he announced to the Aaronic priesthood, to me, that our generation, those who were the Aaronic priesthood, born in 1967 to 1973, I believe, is the age of the Aaronic priesthood in that meeting, for the most part. Yes, you have converts that come around at different ages, so those are exceptions to the rule, but the general age of those who are there were born 1967 to 1973. So 1970 is the center of those who were born. And he told us, "You are the youth of the noble birthright. You are the army of the Lord," to help usher in the latter days. And we are now entering 50. Those who are 67 or 50s, I'm going on 49 here pretty soon. And so that summer, I had 2 Dos dreams that had a major impact in my life. And I didn't know they were prophecy dreams. And I'll get to that. The first dream, I was in school, and I looked at the clock, and it was around 3:15-ish, I think. Can't remember exactly. And it may be, yeah, anyway. It was an unusual time. It wasn't the time, and I can't remember the exact time. But I then, the bell rang, I left the classroom, got on a school bus, and the school bus took us on a long journey through canola fields. Now, how did I know it was canola fields? I had never been to Canada. And yes, exactly. When I moved to Canada with my first wife and was driving home from work, I believe I was working at McDonald's in the manager trainee program at that time. I saw the canola fields, and it was, it was harvest time. And so in Canada, in southern Canada, in McGrath, or Alberta, you can smell the refineries of the canola fields. And, oh, it is a horrid smell. Ugh. Ugh. But a good oil for cooking. But I saw the fields and I had the flashback. That is the grain. And so at the end of the bus ride, they drop us off, and it's a building, an isolated building, just like in Canada, Alberta. Because cities, pocket cities, city, long road trip to the next city, and then branching roads to other cities. And the reason why is because when Brigham Young sent the Mormons up there, there were people already living in Lethbridge who had settled in Lethbridge. And when the Mormons came, those people did not like the Mormons. And so they passed a law in Lethbridge that Mormons had to stay away from Lethbridge for a certain number of miles or kilometers. And thus you have the pockets around Lethbridge. A little fun fact for you. And in the dream, however, I arrive at this building, and we check in at it's like an office with a window, and you go to the window and you get assigned a room. I went to my room, opened the door, put my suitcases in. I had 2 suitcases, and then I looked to my left, and down the hall, Stephanie, my first wife, was standing outside the door, and she said, "Hey, you want to go for a ride?" And we went to the door on our right, in between our apartments, and it was like a big underground parking lot, and there were cars parked up against the building, and we got in one of those cars, and they were electric. They weren't combustion, they were electric. And we got in the car, and I drove us down the road. We just took off on a trip, and it was all underground. And I remember passing into a tunnel with the lights illuminating the tunnel, and then we got to a building within the underground system, and pulled up, parked, we got out, we went up to the doors, we walked in, and there were classrooms, classes being held, and a hallway going straight to a door. I, however, saw a door open to the right that I went walking right in, and walked in front of the classroom, right past the teacher who was giving a lesson, and because I interrupted the class, the teacher was upset with me and didn't want me in the class, and I just kept walking straight on through and out the other door, and joined Stephanie in the hallway again. And we went to the end of the door and opened it up, and it was a chapel, similar to a Mormon chapel, but it was differently designed. The benches for the seating of the people coming in. I don't know if you're familiar with LDS churches. I'm going to title this "Catered to Mormons," so I'm pretty sure my my audience will know of Mormons and Mormon chapels. But the seating in benches, the 2 side benches, and the central long benches in the middle, and it went down, facing downward. And at the bottom was the pulpit seating, with the choir seating, and the pulpit right there in the middle. And so we were at the top, and Stephanie went all the way down on the left side, down the stairs, and went up into the pulpit seating, and sat down as if she were going to be giving a talk. She sat in those chairs there. And I went to the right, went down halfway, and then went in and sat. And there were very few people in there. Less than a half a dozen. And then the back doors that we came in opened, and guards of the place came in and dragged my parents, who were in the upper left side, forcefully grabbed them out of their wheelchairs. My parents were in wheelchairs in this dream. Dragged them out and back out the doors in the back there. And I was like, okay, time for me to go. And so I got up, went back down the right stairs, and at the bottom there was a stairwell right there at the pulpit front. There was a stairwell going down with the door there. So I went down, tried to open it, and it was locked. I couldn't get in. So I came back up, and walked across the pulpit. I motioned to Stephanie, come with me. She got up and joined me. At the bottom left, there was an exit, a glass door exit with a curtain over it, similar to churches in the Mormon Church. And we were about to go through. We had cracked open the door when the back door again opened. And this time, a witch, a woman dressed in black with the stereotypical pointy hat, opened the door. And Stephanie went into shock at that point. And then the female witch morphed. She transformed into a man. And the man then said, "Who dares invade my temple?" And so, yeah, Stephanie was in complete shock. I heard that and pushed Stephanie and myself out the door. We were getting out of there. Once we got out, it was outside. The sun was shining, the grass was green, and looked up the hill and trying to decide which way should we go. And looked to the left up the hill. There was a side door apparently, and it opened, and the two or three guards appeared at the top of the hill, and so I knew we're not going that way. So I motioned to Stephanie, run, and we ran around the front of the building to the right and to the right again. And at that point of the dream, we had to decide whether we were going to cross the street to the other side where there was a bush that we could jump over and hide, or go around the building. And in my dream, I was trying to force the dream. I didn't want to be separated from Stephanie. I wanted her to come with me. I was going to go across the street to hide behind the bushes. That's what the conflict was in my dream, as I was fighting what the dream was telling me was going to happen. And I didn't like the outcome that the dream was telling me. And so the dream was telling me that she was going to separate from me and go around the building and would get caught by the guards, whereas I was going to hide behind the bushes and be saved. And so I didn't like that outcome, and so I changed the dream, forcing her to continue with me across the street, over the bushes, and watching as the guards would go around and would have caught her in that situation. And so I learned the hard way, you can't force your dreams. The dreams are what they are when they're prophecy dreams. And so yes, you probably figured by now that her separating from me is divorce in the interpretation. And yeah, the ending of the dream was a light mist as I sit in a little rocking love seat that usually is placed outside of a house. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but it's just like a rocking love seat that you have on like your front patio or back patio or whatever. And it was next to a great white building. And I didn't know what the white building was, but that's the significance of it, was a white building. And so yes, I can go into great detail and have summarized that in the symbols in my dream books. Yeah, that was the big dream, and I had written it all out. I woke up 12 hours later, because that's what I was doing as a teenager during the summertime, getting long naps, long sleeps, and and so I woke up and immediately got my pen and paper and started writing. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote until I got the whole dream written out. And it was several pages front and back. And I still had that dream up until 2008, when all hell broke loose in my life. So, but that comes to another dream that I'll try to get to. We're at 20 minutes right now. So the second dream of 1986 was about I was in hiking the mountains, hiking up a particular mountain, and it was forested, and that was nothing new for me, because I got the 5 Peaks Award in Southern California for hiking the mountain peaks in San Bernardino, San Gorgonio mountain range there in Southern California. And hiking up the mountain, I got to the top and looked out over the horizon, and I saw 2 buildings from among the mountainous tops. 2 buildings. One was a skyscraper. Sort of looked a lot like the church's church office building. And then the other one was a little bit up on the hill, similar to Utah, where the church office building, and then you have the Utah Capitol building up on the hillside. I didn't know that at the time. As a kid in the summer times, we took trips up to Utah, but I was dropped off at BYU for the education days, the youth education days that they had. I can't remember the exact title of it, but yeah, they would have youth conferences there. You'd stay in the dorms, and you'd have scheduled classes where John, by the way, would give little performances, and they'd have dances where you get to cohort with girls. So yeah, boys and girls dorms were separated, so they made sure everybody was safe, kept the Book of Mormon distance apart. And yeah, and so I'm not sure if I had seen Salt Lake City in that instance, because Provo is far, far away from Salt Lake City. But that's what I saw in my dream. And so yes, when I went and tried to get away from my parents yet again, I was living downtown in an apartment on 9th East and 2nd or 3rd South, and I did my morning run, and I had hills to do for my run this time. That was awesome. And ran up the hill and then turned at the university to come back down, and lo and behold, the exact scene from my dream. Church office building, Capitol, in between the greenery. And so yes, when you have a dream about mountains, that I found out referred to being in Utah as the symbol. Utah, top of the mountains. It's the Indian name meaning. And at the top of the hill, there was a house. And this house was at the top of the hill. And I could see men running out of the house. They were running around the house and running out of the house. They were trying to find gold in the house. And so I went and walked in the house. And it was emptied. You know, it had been completely looted, plundered. So there was no gold in it. And then I saw out the side door that I came in, stormtroopers had come up behind me on the hill or the mountain and were headed into the house. They were gathering up everybody who had been there trying to collect gold. And the stormtroopers, and I'm talking Star Wars stormtroopers, so, you know, teenage boy, 86, so yeah, they're not Nazi stormtroopers. They were stormtroopers, even though the stormtroopers of George Lucas were symbols of Nazi stormtroopers. And who knew that Utah police would be symbolized as Star Wars stormtroopers who are symbols of Nazi stormtroopers? So yes, I'm giving you the interpretation. And I decided I need to try to get away here. And so I went out the front doors, because side door, front door, and there was an open field. I went out to the edge of the field, and it was a sheer cliff straight down the mountain. And many, many miles away, I could see a tiny little lake. And so I was thinking to myself, okay, what am I going to do here? Do I jump and hope that I survive? Or do I allow myself to get arrested by these stormtroopers? Or do I hide behind this fallen log, tree log, that's right here? So I hid behind the tree log, and unfortunately the stormtroopers found me and came and got me in the dream. And again, I'm trying to change the outcome of the dream, and I make it so that I decide to jump and hope that I survive, but miraculously a helicopter with a net in front of it appears and catches me in the net. that was not the original intention of the dream. I was captured instead. Okay, so that was 86 when I had those dreams, years before the fulfillments. Okay, so yes, there's a lot more to the story, obviously, and I can't get into it because it would be too long of a video. In December of 2014, I had a dream in which I was moving, and I was moving to an apartment, and I had the Elders Quorum president, who was a young man in the ward that I was attending at the time, downtown Salt Lake, and he had helped, and apparently he'd gotten the elders, but I never saw any of the elders. I just saw the Elders Quorum president. And they had helped me move. I had boxes piled up in the hallway outside of the door, number 202, apartment 202. And then I realized, oh, wrong apartment. It's this other one down the hall. And that was the end of the dream. And so with that dream, I had decided I'm going to try to move out of this place that I'm in, and tried to find an apartment downtown. The particular company is such that you have to be given a tour by one of their people first. You have to see the apartment first. Then, once you see the apartment, you have to be the first person to have seen the apartment and get to their offices with a money order for the down payment, and a separate money order for the first month's rent. They had that specific requirement. Had to be money orders, 2 separate ones. One for the first month's rent, one for the down payment. And I didn't know that. And so when I found out, after having seen the building, and it wasn't apartment number 202, but I realized, oh no, how do I get a money order for that amount? Because I'm forced on a payee, and so the payee determines what I buy, when I buy it, and how it's to be made. And so I put in a call, Leslie, I need money orders in order to get this apartment. Can you get me the money orders today? If I come down to your office today, can I get the money orders? No, but we'll try to see what we can do, and you can come to our office tomorrow and get the money orders. So yes, I didn't make it, so I didn't get the apartment, because when I got to their offices, there was somebody else, a couple who had beaten me and were there to put down the money for the apartment. So I lost, and so I was kind of bummed, and getting an apartment is hell in Utah. There is a housing crisis in Utah. So my one opportunity to get out of where I was failed. And so the people at the apartment that I was staying decided maybe we should get him out of this place, because he's been in here longer than he should be. And they put me here. And the landlord had called me up, and she said, you can move in anytime you want. It's ready anytime. You don't have to wait until the first of the month or the end of a month. anytime you want during the month. And it was it was the end of January, and so instead of the 1st of February, guess which date I picked? That's right, I picked the 20th of February, and specifically because of my dream. It was a Friday, just happened to be a Friday. Oh, okay, cool. And landlord said, okay, great, we'll see you then. She didn't realize it was a Friday. She doesn't work on Fridays. So a couple weeks later, she calls me back. I don't work on Friday. So there won't be anybody to let you in. Can we make it for Monday, the 23rd? And so the date was changed to the 23rd of February. See how that works? Amazing. And so here I am. And yeah, and then I think I got married before I had this next dream. And in the dream, I went into a house and I started packing 3 suitcases. And my dad came in, and I'm losing the memory of that dream because I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I was going on a mission. I was an older man, as I am, but I was going on a church mission. And because I walked out of the house with my 3 suitcases, and there was a forest to the left, and out from the forest came 2 Mormon 19-year-old elders. And I told them, hey, I'm going on a mission. It's not going to be your type of mission. It's a different mission that I've been specifically assigned to. And then I went and put my suitcases, 3 suitcases, in the back of a pickup truck. And so that one, I thought, okay, 3 suitcases. Is that 3 months, 3 years? Which is it? Turns out it's years for that specific numbering, because that's what happened. So, and it wasn't an official mission by the church. It was a special one that I was given an assignment for. And yeah, it ended up being 3 months when I got the assignment, but then it then was 3 years for the assignment itself. And so that was interesting. And it's always tough trying to figure out how the dream is to be interpreted when you have it. And so that's why I wrote the dream books, is to help people get an understanding of their dreams and how to identify prophecy dreams and give them a clue. And then I intended to do a sign list, but have not gotten around to it because other things regarding my mission came up. Alright, so yeah, those are my dreams, and I had a couple others that I wanted to talk to you guys about because of what's going on. Yeah, the dream I had this morning, which inspired this video, was the number 211. And on the 21st of January, I know very well from the previous dream I had that the numbers refer to the total lunar eclipse date. And so tonight, Trump will be declaring martial law in order to cause chaos and distract from the investigations into him. And people are already trying to set things up to try to remove Trump from office, because it's going to be hell in the whole process. He's already rigged the Supreme Court in his favor. And now we have Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who missed her first ever, I can't remember what they call it, but she wasn't there for work for the first time ever. So that's concerning. And so, yeah, things are looking bad, people. And I've been warning about it all through the mission time. I've been warning you guys. So, alrighty. So yeah, there's more to the story and more dreams to talk about that involve President Hinckley, who was dead at the time when I had the dream, and then another one of President Monson. Because yes, President Hinckley I had a dream with him, and then President Monson, I had a dream that related to the dream with President Hinckley in a symbolic fashion. And so, yes, interesting dreams, and I'm running out of time, so sorry. I've talked about them on my website. I don't know if I still have them up on my website. We can check. So, yeah, we'll spend a little time here. www.travisgoodsill.com. Scroll down on the home page to the search. Dream Hinckley. Blood mourning for Hinckley. Hinckley eclipse was February. My attack from the LDS Church. I never saw my research. That shocked everyone in the room and silenced them for Hinckley had ordered the interrogation. Okay, so that was when F. Michael Watson attacked me. I don't know if I have the dream in that one. Deseret News comments. President Hinckley said the following: I have a dream. Me too. I too have a dream for my children. Nope, that's not it. Disturbing doctrinal changes. They don't list them in the order. I just had a Passover prophecy dream. Oh, that's interesting. I forgot about that one. So yeah, I had a Passover prophecy dream not too long ago. I think it was 2017 for that one. Lot scandal. Michael Watson. Ooh, I just woke from the worst dream. Oh, I was being sarcastic. Because it was after the youth fireside where he establishes the Lord's Youth Battalion. And I just went, and so the next morning I wrote this post of Nelson resurrecting Hitler's youth. That's what he did. Alright, then Old Testament lessons. Prophet did not know the church doctrine. Sky is falling. Yeah, I don't have them listed. Well, that's a bumberay. 6 more days until Trump's 9/11. Calling out LDS churches false prophets. What do you get when you mix racism, hatred, ignorance with police authority? And Bergamite Mormons, unaware that they're a splinter group. Significance of the excommunication of the 70 Hamudas. I've caught the attention of the Russians. I don't see. Oh. In my dreams last night, I was dreaming about Russia infiltrating other social medias, such as YouTube. And they were posting propaganda against the LDS Church, using fake names for fake histories. Huh. Turns out that turned to be true. An economy of bribery. Anonymous Pence makes move. Perfection. Fifth day, darkest day of the year. Book of Mormon lesson fulfilled. Mighty and strong. Law of chastity. Book of Mormon lesson. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like it got deleted. Alright. Alright, so sorry. Can't talk to you about it because I'm running out of time. We're at 45 minutes, so. Alright. We'll have to do it at another time then. Maybe when all hell breaks loose in the Mormon Church, as expected for this sign on the 21st of January. So, just be assured there is hope, Mormons, but you got to have faith in the right things. If you have faith in the institutions that are false, you're going to be fooled and deceived. So, that's just a tip for you. Be open to other things, other interpretations of your life, of your beliefs, because otherwise you're going to be very, very disappointed. Like the FLDS members when Warren Jeffs was finally arrested, brought down to justice, and is rotting in the Utah prison. Alrighty.